This man was scared out of his wits and fled in panic because his girlfriend turned into a zombie. In the morning, Nick woke up in the church only to find that his girlfriend, Luciana, was not by his side. He searched downstairs and discovered bloodstains on the piano, which made him feel an ominous sensation. A pair of legs lay outside a room in the distance, and as he approached, he realized his friend was dead, his neck seemingly torn by some wild creature. Nick was filled with cold sweat and didn't know what to do. With Luciana missing, he picked up a stick for self-defense. Nick called out Luciana's name and soon found Luciana crouched on the ground in a wall corner. Luciana's actually chewing on Nick's best buddy. Her gaze locked onto Nick, and even more disturbing was a dagger stuck in her body. Feeling chills down his spine, Nick only wanted to escape from this place. He climbed out of a window and onto the street, but before he could catch his breath, a car hit him, leaving him unconscious. When Nick woke up again, he found himself in the hospital, facing questions from the police. Fearful of being associated with the incident, he didn't dare reveal the truth. His mother, Madison, his sister, Alicia, and his stepfather, Travis, rushed to the hospital. At night, Travis stays with him at the hospital, and Nick wakes up from a nightmare. When questioned by Travis, Nick told him what he'd seen at the church. Travis went to the church to investigate, but the main door was locked. He had to enter through a bathroom window, and the silence inside was terrifying. Travis searched room after room but found nothing. That's when Travis came into a room. Travis chased him to the stairs and saw the blood on the piano. Continuing to explore, Travis called out loudly, but no one answered. As he searched, he accidentally tripped and felt a pool of blood with bits of flesh and organs. Breathing heavily, Travis was clearly startled. He told his wife about the terrifying events in the church, but she dismissed it, saying that it was probably just a place where delinquents and drug addicts hang out, and Nick might have hallucinated due to drug use. Travis, there's no evidence and nothing more to say. At that moment, a patient in the adjacent bed was in critical condition, and doctors quickly took him away. Seizing the chaos, Nick stole some clothes and escaped to the streets. He found his way to a restaurant and located Calvin, the person who had sold drugs to him. Nick wanted to know what drugs he had taken and why Luciana was like that. Calvin comforted Nick and decided to take him for a ride. However, they ended up near a river under a bridge, where Calvin asked Nick to stay in the car, claiming it was safe there. Calvin then searched the trunk for something. Calvin went to the door and asked Nick to get out of the car. When he opened the door, Nick saw Calvin's gun hidden behind his back. He pretended not to see it and then suddenly grabbed Calvin's hand holding the gun. In order to survive, Nick exploded with unprecedented energy. At last, the gunshot sounded and Calvin slowly fell to the ground. Terrifying videos spread on the internet, showing these mobsters who couldn't be killed no matter how much the police shot at them. Little did people know that this was the first transmission of a zombie virus. However, most viewers dismissed it as a prank and paid no attention to it. Meanwhile, Nick accidentally killed Calvin, the drug dealer, and was terrified. He immediately called his parents for help. When they arrived at the scene, Calvin, who should have been dead, had disappeared. Nick's emotions collapsed instantly, questioning if it was all just his hallucination. Just as they were about to reverse and leave, Calvin's figure appeared again in the bridge tunnel. The Travis couple immediately approached Calvin to inquire about his condition. However, before they could say a word, Calvin crazily lunged at them, attempting to bite. Thankfully, they reacted quickly and managed to avoid being bitten. In a critical moment, Nick swiftly reversed the car, knocking Calvin to the ground, but to their shock, Calvin got up unscathed. Nick realized that Calvin was no longer human and accelerated to hit him, sending Calvin flying several meters away. Surely, he must be dead now, Nick thought. They kept their eyes fixed on Calvin's body, but to their horror, he started moving again. Although Travis didn't understand what was happening, given the bizarre events of the past few days, he speculated that a dreadful virus was silently spreading. They quickly contacted their family members and prepared to leave Los Angeles. When Madison called her daughter, Alicia, she learned that Alicia was with her boyfriend, who had a fever of 50 degrees. Worried, they instructed Alicia to stay away and rushed to her location. By the time they found Alicia, Matt, her boyfriend, was extremely weak. Travis opened Matt's collar, and they were shocked to find a human bite mark. Realizing the danger, Matt asked Alicia to leave him. They hurriedly returned home. The neighbor's wife is still throwing parties. Smart individuals had already begun hoarding supplies. Travis cleaned the bloodstains from the car and prepared to pick up his ex-wife and son. Travis told them that if he didn't return in time, they should head to the desert, and he would catch up with them. Soon, planes flew over the city, and more people gathered in the squares, causing traffic to come to a standstill. Travis got stuck on the road, but fortunately, he knew a nearby back road. He even spotted an FBI agent stockpiling supplies, indicating that they knew something was going on. Riots in the streets are increasing. The police kill those infected with the virus, but more and more citizens are rising up against them. They want democracy and freedom. Unbeknownst to them, disaster is on the horizon. As the FBI shot a virus-infected homeless man, people took to the streets in constant protest and resistance. Travis's son, Chris, also joined the crowd, unaware of the danger. While Travis was searching for Chris, a woman stumbled towards the crowd. With no other option, the FBI resorted to shooting her, causing the public to riot. Chaos erupted, with people resorting to violence, arson, and looting. Travis, desperate to protect his ex-wife and son, pleaded with the owner of a barbershop to let them seek refuge inside. Fortunately, Daniel's wife agreed to the request. As night fell, the chaos outside intensified, and rioters attacked shops. During this time, Chris noticed something unusual. The walls started emitting intense heat, indicating a neighboring room might be on fire. The group decided to move to a safer location. However, as they opened the door, the rioters stormed in, though they were fortunate enough not to harm them. Seizing the opportunity, they quickly moved outside, only to find the world even more chaotic. People had turned into zombies and were attacking others. Chris, fueled by a sense of justice, wanted to intervene, but Travis quickly pulled him away. They continued moving through the turmoil. When they crossed a shelf, it collapsed, pinning Daniel's wife's leg. With combined efforts, they managed to rescue her and got onto Travis's car. As they drove, they witnessed the military shooting down zombies, and the city's power system rapidly failed. Meanwhile, Nick and the others were waiting for Travis at home. Suddenly, they heard a banging sound at the door and dared not make a move. Nick, mustering his courage, opened the curtain and saw a Kunming dog lying at the doorstep, its body covered in blood. Nick checked and realized it wasn't its blood. The dog then ran into the house and barked frantically at the window. When Nick looked through the window, he saw their neighbor, his mouth full of blood, staring at him and heading towards where the dog was barking. Nick suggested climbing over the wall to the neighbor's house to find a hunting rifle. Following Nick's lead, they smoothly entered the neighbor's house and found the rifle. Alicia saw through the window that the zombie had entered their home, followed by a scream from the dog. Just then, Travis returned in his car. Travis opens the door and enters the house just in time to see the zombie chowing down on the dogs. Upon hearing the commotion, the zombie stood up and tried to attack Travis. Travis also tried to wake up the neighbor and was soon pounced on. Madison heard the shouts and took the shotgun from Nick's hand. As she was about to shoot, Travis stopped her. Still trying to reason with the neighbor, Daniel took the gun and killed the zombie. Daniel has a plan in mind. He can't stay with this family. A soft heart will get him killed sooner or later. Madison's closest neighbor turned into a zombie, and she carried a heavy heart, wanting to put an end to it to prevent any more tragedies from happening. As Madison hesitated to take action, her husband Travis stepped in to stop her. He told her that she didn't have the right to end someone else's life, especially when it was their friend. Madison argued that she wanted to help the neighbor find relief from its suffering, while Travis tried to reason with her. He took away the hammer from her hands. All these scenes were observed by Daniel, reinforcing why he didn't want to seek refuge in the desert with this family. Though they were good people often died first. Travis's family quickly packed their belongings and set off for the desert. On their way, they reached an intersection where Madison spotted the neighbor's husband arriving home, loudly calling out to his wife. But he found his wife transformed into a zombie. Despite Madison's warning to stay away, the man reached out to embrace his wife, showing the purest form of love. Gunshots echoed as the military personnel approached and took the man away while dealing with the zombies' remains. People were relieved that the military took control of the town and conducted house-to-house inspections, meaning they didn't need to flee anymore. However, Daniel was deeply worried as he knew the way the FBI operated. Soon, a large number of troops arrived, and they informed the residents that a 6-kilometer radius around them was safe. They set up fences and strictly warned the people not to leave the safety zone. On that day, Chris sat on the rooftop, using a DV camera to record their seemingly peaceful life. He expressed gratitude to the military while capturing scenes of the outside of the safe area. According to the military, there were no living people left outside. Suddenly, Chris froze when he noticed a distant house emitting a light, as if waving at him. He sought out Madison, believing that someone outside needed help. After watching the footage, Madison had some other suspicions. The next morning, Madison also took a flashlight and directed it towards the house in the video. Soon, the house responded. The military's actions had raised Madison's doubts, and she decided to investigate. She evaded the military patrols, cut through the wire fence, and entered the so-called no man's land as claimed by the military. There, she found memorials for the deceased, streets in ruins, and bodies scattered everywhere. In addition to zombies, there were some clearly normal human beings. Just as Madison found the situation incomprehensible, an armored vehicle slowly approached from a distance. She quickly hid under the car, and the face of a corpse happened to face her direction, nearly causing her to scream in fright. Madison could only pray not to be discovered, knowing the likely fate if she were. Thankfully, the soldiers didn't linger as they passed by the car. Madison returned home and told Daniel about what had happened. Daniel remained calm, believing that it was the soldiers' usual approach to kill rather than spare someone. Daniel asked Madison for a favor, as he needed to accompany his wife to the hospital for treatment of her injured leg. He requested Madison to take care of his daughter Ophelia in his absence. In the evening, the military arrived as agreed to take Daniel's wife away for treatment but refused to allow Daniel to accompany her. They informed him that there were 2 names on the list, his wife, and a person named Nick. Alicia urgently asked Nick to escape, but the house was already heavily surrounded. Nick and Daniel's wife were taken away by the military. Travis's ex-wife, Liza, also pleaded with the doctor, saying that Nick was just a drug addict and not infected. However, the doctor told Liza that she was a nurse and could come along to help. Liza followed the army men to the car to take care of Nick. For Madison, it seemed as if Liza had let the military take away her son. The tension among the family reached its peak after witnessing the events of the day. Madison felt that Nick's chances of survival were grim. Travis, feeling frustrated, climbed to the rooftop and noticed a distant light. Soon after, gunshots and flames erupted. The survivor Chris mentioned turned out to be true, but now their chances of survival were slim. Travis realized how naive he was to trust the military in the apocalypse. Liza arrives at the hospital and spends her days treating the wounded, but never sees Nick and Daniel's wife again. Daniel knew that if he didn't take any action, his wife might be gone forever. Madison, also concerned for Nick, got involved in the situation. When confronted by Daniel, the soldiers say they're only taking them to heal them. Daniel didn't buy that line. Under Daniel's threat, a soldier finally confessed everything. They had once trapped 2,000 people and zombies in a sports arena because they couldn't distinguish who was infected. The next morning at 9 o'clock, all the soldiers would abandon the civilians and evacuate, while those taken away would be destroyed. Summoning courage, Daniel went to the sports arena to verify the soldiers' claim. As he approached, he heard a loud explosion from inside the arena. The entrance was suddenly flooded with a large number of zombies, and the on-duty soldiers began shooting frantically, attracting more and more zombies to the scene. In order to save his wife, Daniel decided to release all the zombies trapped in the sports arena to divert their attention. He met up with the others in the underground garage. Daniel noticed the soldier he had kidnapped was set free by Travis, who was overcome by compassion. Travis assured them that the soldier would not betray them. Alicia and Chris stayed behind while the others headed to the base to save the day. The base was chaotic, with helicopters evacuating and leaving the remaining people behind, including Liza and other medical personnel. Liza was only concerned about her son, Chris. Meanwhile, Victor and Nick managed to escape from their cell, faced with the pleas for help from the surrounding cells. Nick wanted to rescue them. However, Victor, being a businessman, taught Nick not to be a naive do-gooder in this apocalyptic world. Just as they had left, Daniel and the others arrived at the cells, calling for Nick and Daniel's wife. The inmates in the cells informed them that Nick had already escaped with another man. Travis then decided to open all the cells and save the survivors. On the other side, Victor and Nick found themselves in a corridor but couldn't open the door. Seeing the zombies getting closer and closer, Victor took out his pistol and shot down a few zombies. Nick was still trying to get the door open. Just then, Nick sees Travis and the others through the glass. The zombies are getting closer and closer. Madison and the others can't get the door open. Nick is desperate and tells his mom to get out of there. The situation seemed hopeless until Liza arrived and managed to open the door with her ID card. They escaped just in time. The base was now overrun with zombies. Daniel asked about his wife, but Liza sadly informed him that she had been infected and did not survive. They all reunited in the underground garage with Alicia and Chris, but the soldier who had been set free by Travis showed up with a gun, seeking revenge on Daniel. However, his target was Ophelia, Daniel's daughter. Travis jumped on the soldier and knocked him down, then swung his fists wildly at the soldier. Travis was now beating the soldier like a madman. Travis blamed himself for letting the soldier go, and no one would have been hurt. Chicago seems to have become an empty city as the group drives along the moat. It's a good thing the soldier hit Ophelia in the shoulder. They arrived for a short stay at Victor's private flat, and their final destination was Victor's private yacht. Liza tended to Ophelia's wound, and then, she went to find her son and hugged him tightly, saying, "I love you." A woman's sixth sense is always right. Madison followed Liza to the beach and asked what had happened. Liza lifts up her shirt and there's a wound that doesn't mutate people, but kills them and turns them into zombies. Liza begged Madison to end her life. She didn't want her son to see her as a zombie. Finally, Travis arrives.